She just snuck me in the nose. She may be the only one, or one of the few people in America who doesn't know Happy Days, but most of us do, and Happy Days are definitely here again. We're going to catch up with the entire cast from the classic sitcom right after this. Happy birthday, Penelope.
Black, gray sky, yellow, blue.
Good morning, Mike.
Happy days.
We're back now at 9 minutes after 8 o'clock, and this morning we're kicking off a special series, Together Again, TV's greatest casts reunited. And what better way to start than with the TV classic Happy Days.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
For 10 years, it was the TV show that had it all: laughter, love, and of course, the Fonz. Set in the 1950s, Happy Days presented an idealized vision of American life. The show revolved around teenager Richie Cunningham and his pals, Warren Potsy Weber and Ralph Mouth. The Middle America feel was completed by parents Howard and Marion and younger sister Joni.
You know, you people could learn a lot from Fonzie.
Hey! ABC feared the Fonz would be perceived as a hoodlum if he wore a leather jacket, so they insisted he wear a non-threatening windbreaker in the first few episodes. Fortunately, the network saw the light. Fonzie donned the leather, and an icon was born. The show hit #1 in the ratings during its 4th season and stayed in the top 30 until the end in 1984.
So thank you all for being part of our family. To Happy Days.
Created by Gary Marshall, Happy Days inspired several spin-offs that became hits in their own right. Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, and Joni Loves Chachi. 34 years since Happy Days debuted, the show lives on in reruns, offering today's TV fans a glimpse of life in a simpler time. This was the cast in the 1970s, and here they are now. Marion Ross played Marion Cunningham. Tom Bosley was her husband, Howard. Erin Moran played their daughter, Joni. Don Most was Ralph Mouth. And Anson Williams played Potsy Weber. And joining us from Los Angeles, Ron Howard played Richie Cunningham. And Henry Winkler was Arthur the Fonzarelli. Hey, guys, good morning to all of you. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me start with the people in L.A. We'll get the technical thing down here for a second. You know, Ron and Henry, the pitch for this show, if you tried to make it today, probably wouldn't work. It was a family and their friends living in simple times. So, Ron, I'll start with you. Why did it work?
Well, I think it was a show. First of all, it was well written, well done. I think we were a good cast, but I think the premise was great because it drew the family together. So it was nostalgia for the parents of that era, and it was a show about kids and about teenagers for the younger members in the family. I really do think it pulled people together on Tuesday nights.
And Henry, people did like that simple time, didn't they? They loved the innocence of the era.
Gary Marshall and Tom Miller made the decision to keep it in the 50s so that it would be timeless. You could tell stories about what was happening in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, but because it was set in the 50s, it felt as if you weren't being hit over the head by a moral.
Let me ask the folks here in New York, I've always wondered, did the roles you played on the show carry over to the way you acted on the set? In other words, Tom, did you become the father figure for all these guys? Marion, were you the mother figure?
Yes.
Well, it had to be that way. The guys were young, and Erin was young, and, you know, being a part of a family started to grow right on the set, and by the end of the run, after 10.5 years, it was another family that had to say goodbye for a while.
Yeah.
And Don, even before buying our first houses, we went to Tom.
That's right. That's right.
No, we did. I said,
permission?
Is this a good deal? I mean, should I sign? No, don't sign this. He said, no, ask for this.
You grew up on the air, right in front of America's eyes. Was that always a good thing, or was that sometimes a hard thing?
It was a hard thing. Anson and I were just talking about this. You know, all of a sudden, everything was handed to you on a plate. People knew you. You know, before, you know, we were talking about we'd be struggling to get dates, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're advertised out there, and it's a whole different world. So. it was a Twilight Zone kind of experience.
Erin, you went through puberty on national television.
Yes, I did.
Nobody wants to do that.
I didn't. But it was so much fun with these guys. It made it better. It made it easier. I loved it. I had such a good time.
What was the atmosphere on the set, Marion?
Well, I really feel I'm the mother. In fact, now, Ron, I think you should shave, honey. I do.
After all these years.
You don't call.
Were there a lot of practical jokes played one another on the set?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
What do you
Mainly by our director,
Yes.
Jerry
Director
Harris.
Jerry Paris was, you know.
Yeah, we
always
have to
coming up with
mention
something.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Henry, one time I sprayed you with some whipped cream thing. Well, then, and this was in the show. Now you sprayed me.
You started
I
running
ruined
after
my
him.
hair, my clothes. We had to stop the show so I could get all cleaned up.
Henry, how much of the
I
Fonz
remember that very well.
How much of the Fonz was ad-lib? How much was on the actual page?
Well, Gary Marshall had writers from 21 years old to 77. Those scripts were really well written. There was a little addition, but for the most part, you stuck to the script, and we did that for 11 years. But I would like to say hi to everybody there in New York. I wish I was with you.
How are you feeling, Henry?
Well, I was supposed to be in Pittsburgh and then in
Yep.
New York because I have a little bit of the flu. For anybody with the flu, I salute you.
And the sad irony for me is I'm the only one that actually lives in New York, and I can't. I'm out here.
Which is, hey, Ron, did you have a favorite episode?
Oh man, I enjoyed so many of them. There was. It was a crazy episode to do, but I liked the Demolition Derby episode. It was, and by the way, speaking of Jerry Paris, we just have to underscore that he was really in a lot of ways a kind of a creative heart and soul, along with Gary Marshall and the writers. Yeah. And I remember doing that Demolition Derby scene. He was all over the place, trying to make crashing cars funny, and he always managed to do it.
Yeah,
So
Jerry was the unbelievable influence on our show.
Absolutely.
Just the greatest.
When you see the show now, they really hold up. They move along. They're so funny. If you were on the set with us the night before, it was chaos.
Speaking of the set, so where are the skeletons buried? I mean, where's the story we never heard? What was the big scandal that you guys managed to suppress for all these years?
None.
Come on.
Not for us.
Nothing?
No,
It was all wholesome
You
fun?
mean our third kid?
Just broke our silence.
Yes.
What happened to Chuck?
What was interesting is, as we were running a tape in the intro there, we had the shot of you thanking everyone at the end of the series, Tom. And you started to tear
Every
up.
time I see it.
Even
Every time.
after all
Yes.
the 24 years, you still choke up at that episode?
Yep.
Well, it
And
was a
you
big
know
part of
that
your life.
that very next morning, we all got on a plane and flew to Okinawa to
That's
play
right.
softball
For the
with the
USO.
U.S. Marines.
That was it?
I didn't go.
You didn't go?
I had another job.
I had another job, too.
How hard was it to say goodbye after 11 seasons? Ron, you and Don left after 7, right?
That's correct.
So for the rest of you, after 10 or 11 seasons, how hard was it to say goodbye?
You know, I think we thought that we were going to end the year before. And doing the last year was almost a gift from the network to say, you deserve it.
Kind of a victory lap.
Yes, and this will give you the opportunity and the time to start looking for what you're going to do after
Plus,
the
we
show.
were all such close friends. It's not like we ever said goodbye.
Yeah.
And we saw each other socially, off the set, and it hasn't changed in 34 years.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break.
It was,
Go ahead.
It was a great life experience, and it was wonderful to be a part of something that people were getting so much pleasure out of, and they've continued to. But whenever I think of the show, I don't think about ratings. I don't think about any of that, the business side. I always think about the experience of being on the set, or being on the road at a promotional thing, or one of our softball games, and the love and the support that never ever waned. And I think that's why the show stayed crisp and sharp and good, because whatever anybody was feeling in their life, and of course we were all going through transitional periods, but we didn't want to let each other down ever, and we wanted the show to be good. And I think that's why it has endured.
Go ahead, Henry. You wanted to jump in there.
No, I just wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to say, Ronnie, it was really great to see you give your acceptance speech last night again. That was really great. But it is true. I mean, we played softball as a team, as a cast team. Every Sunday, we traveled all over the world. We traveled all over America. We played hard. We worked hard, and I'm very, very fortunate that these people are in my life.
I agree.
Henry was our pitcher, and we only lost one game. But Henry would never field the ball. If the ball was hit to him, he'd sort of look at it and watch it go by.
He wouldn't have messed his hair up if he had to bend down.
The poor infielders were killing themselves all the time.
I think we have to remember here also, after Don and Ron left the show toward the end, it really became about Joni and Chachi.
Exactly.
Was that? Did you go, yeah, finally it's about us, or was there more pressure there?
No, well, no, there wasn't more pressure. I actually liked. I didn't like going upstairs all the time. You know, I wanted to be with the cast more and have more to do. Of course, I loved it.
Let's quickly go around. You know, Ron, you left the show. You wanted to go off and pursue other things in the entertainment world. Whatever happened to that?
I'm still trying.
You're still trying?
I'm trying all the time.
Henry, what are you up to?
About 5, 6 and a half. No, actually, you know, Gary Marshall, the Happy Days lives on. Gary Marshall is taking out a Happy Days musical, as a matter of fact, and it starts to tour around the country. And I just finished a wonderful movie called Group Sex, and another one called The Plum Summer.
Oh, that's great. And by the way, when you said group sex, Marion just smiled ear to ear here. I don't know why. What are you up to?
Well, I have a movie coming out called Superhero. And it's the Zucker brothers, and I play Leslie Nielsen's wife.
Ooh, good for you, great.
And that young Drake Bell, Josh and Drake, he's a very big star. So a lot of really bad things happen to me, but I'm just normal. I just act normal.
Tom?
I just had a Hallmark show on the air in the latter part of January that I shot up in Toronto that was very successful.
Wonderful.
And in my spare time, I do a cartoon that PBS is now putting out. It's like a teaching tool, something like Sesame Street. So.
Good for you. That's great. Anson?
Well, I've been directing for years, but I also own 2 national product companies. One is Star Maker Products, which is our products right out of the entertainment business.
Right? Yeah.
And one is Physicians Prefer, which is we back these group of doctors for these very safe products for women. Cool Flash for the hot flash. And that's going to be a national brand, too.
Good for you. And Don?
Well, I just directed my second film, a film called Moolah, which is going to be released actually
really good.
In May. Here it is.
Cool. Cool.
It's an independent film starring William Mapother, Treat Williams, Daniel Baldwin.
Oh, Treat.
It's a comedy, and I also acted in a film called The Yankles, which is about a yeshiva that starts a baseball team called the Yankles, and I play an ex-Major League ball player who's estranged from his son. It's actually really dramatic part.
That's great.
And so it was a great experience.
And Erin?
I just did a movie in Texas called Broken Promises, and I'm going to do another movie the end of March.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so nice to see you all in the same room, and Ron and Henry out in California. Henry, feel better. We're sorry you couldn't travel.
We love you, Henry.
We love you, Henry.
We love you, Ron.
And Ron,
I like your beard, Ron.
I hope you still got all our phone numbers and our agents, just in case of an emergency.
Yeah. They're looking for parts anyway. Guys, thanks very much. The cast from Happy Days, and we're back right after this.
At GE, we're combining imagination with advanced technology around the world to make it a better place to live for everyone. GE, imagination at work.
18th hole championship on the line. 4 feet.
Lincoln MKX for 4